We've got another episode of Ask Ryan. Let's get into it. Invest with Joe says, what's the best way to network with high net worth individuals, 10 million plus, to raise private money? Well, I would first say, why do you need 10 million plus? Because for me, we have many private investors who don't have a $10 million net worth. Many of them are millionaires and many of them may be multimillionaires, but very few have an 8-figure net worth. So do you actually even need that rich of a person? Because more than likely, you're gonna get some good private lenders who aren't even millionaires. These are people who've saved up a good chunk of change. Maybe it's 50,000, 100,000, and they're gonna be able to help you get into your first deal or get into other deals. So don't think you need ultra wealthy people in order to, become private lenders for you. Now, if you are trying to find these 8-figure net worth people, I would say traditionally they would be in charities and country clubs and these things you would typically associate with old money. But I'll tell you, lately I've been noticing there's a lot of young money in other places like crypto, like e-commerce, like real estate, where they're looking for different opportunities. But if you're looking to raise money in real estate, the last people you want to raise from are real estate investors, because real estate investors always want to have their own cash for their own deals. I'm no different. When I've got my own money, I want to either put it in my own deals or some other business ventures I've got going on. I don't want to lend it at just a fixed interest rate because I know I can make way more doing it myself. So I almost never raise money from other real estate investors, but where I raise money from is rich professionals in other industries. So I've got people who are doctors who invest with me at Pineda Capital. I got people who are in e-commerce, people who have been in crypto, where they're not really focused on real estate, but they want to diversify. And so they just give me their money to diversify into real estate for them. Next question, who was your first real role model for business? For me, my first role model was Brandon Turner at Bigger Pockets. And I've told Brandon this before, without him doing the Bigger Pockets podcast, I would never be where I'm at today. And he actually just retired from doing the podcast over like 10 years, which is absolutely insane. And the amount of people that he's impacted by doing that podcast, he has no idea. And I would guess it's probably in the millions. I mean, they've gotten millions of downloads and views, and I was one of those people, and I've been able to impact a lot of people along my way too, but it's all because of him impacting me. So Brandon Turner for sure. When I first heard him and I hadn't done a flip yet, to hear about him owning even just a few rentals that he had at the time and, hearing his experience with doing different real estate investments, I thought it was so cool that he was sharing it all and that he was just interviewing these other people who were doing it at a high level. And that really inspired me to get to where I'm at today. So Brandon, if you're watching this, I really appreciate you, dude. What is your favorite book of all time? Well, the Bible is my favorite book. That's the book I read every single day. But outside of the Bible, if I had to pick a book, it'd be pretty tough. For those of you who follow me on Instagram, I'm a pretty avid reader. Usually read over 30 books a year. So the list keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It's really hard to give a favorite book because they're all so good and they all impact me at different points in my life. But I'll pick a book that I've never heard anybody recommend that I think is so good for anybody in business, and it's called The Goal. And basically this book is about the theory of constraints, how supply constraints affect your business, how to make sure that your business is running optimally, that you're not doing too much and overworking your employees and just doing all these different things to make sure that you're producing efficiently. And that has really impacted my thinking of what I need to do if I want to scale, or what I should be doing if I want to just stay where we're at and be efficient and lean. So I would definitely go check out The Goal if you run a business, because it's a book that not many people know about. All right, next question falls along the same lines. Do you listen to any podcast yourself? So there are a bunch of different podcasts I like listening to. It really just depends at what point of my life I was listening to it. So, like I mentioned, Bigger Pockets, when I was just starting out, I really liked it. Lewis Howes, who is a good friend of mine now, I love his podcast, School of Greatness. One that I really like listening to now, since I'm getting pretty heavy into crypto again, is the Investors Podcast. That's really good. But probably my favorite person to listen to, and I just realized he has a podcast, but his YouTube channel is what I love watching, is Alex Hormozi. And I've gotten the chance to have a Zoom call with him and to become friends. And I'll tell you, that guy is probably the smartest person on YouTube, like way smarter than me. And just his business philosophies and all of the things that he talks about are extremely good. And there's literally only one podcast, one YouTube channel that I make sure I watch every episode on, and it's his. So definitely go subscribe to Alex's channel because he's really good. And also too, we talk about this concept of self-development in The Wealthy Way. If you haven't heard, I created The Wealthy Way. You can go get the online course for free. You can join our online Discord community for free. You can get the 2022 planner for free. All you gotta do is go to wealthyway.com. Get it all instantly for free. There's no upsells. It's just a community and a project that I'm trying to build that I'm really passionate about, just helping people live abundant lives. So if you're trying to go figure out best podcast, in our Discord community, we've got a section for podcasts so people can put what their favorites are, what episodes they liked, and those types of things. Zay says, what was your biggest challenge when starting your businesses? I think for most people, it usually has to do with money. You know, most people try to start a business because they're not happy where they're at or they're not making money with whatever they're doing, and so they start a business. And for me, with the house flipping business, people know my story. I had to max out my credit cards for $50,000 in order to buy our first house flip, and it was a gigantic risk, and I would say that was the biggest hurdle. And it was a risk that I would have took way earlier had I known what I could do. You know, for 5 years, I was a licensed realtor in 2010, and I finally flipped my first house in 2015. It took me over 5 years to realize like, oh, I could just max out my credit cards and get a hard money loan to do my first flip. Like 5 years of not taking action because I just didn't know. So the hardest thing for me was the money, and that was my limiting belief. And I think so many people have that limiting belief with starting a business. Like they think they need way more money than they really do. Money is easy to find, guys. If you've got a great idea, if you've got hustle, and you're a good person, you're willing to put that work in, somebody will give you the money to support you. And if nobody's willing to give you the money, you're either not looking hard enough, or you as a person are not somebody who's trustworthy yet. And you're gonna have to go build up your reputation and your trust before people wanna give you money. So it's one of those two things. How many people do you have behind the scenes for YouTube and TikTok? So with YouTube and TikTok and just my entire social media team, I've said this before, we spend around $40,000 between video guys, my producer, you know, my podcast people, all of the editors for TikTok and, you know, Reels and everything else. So it's a pretty big team. How many people it is at this point? I would guess maybe like eight or nine people it takes to produce all the content you see on a daily basis. And it's well worth the money, I'll tell you that, because all the traffic we get from social media for the businesses are way more than what it costs me. And not only is it great for the businesses, it's great for you, the viewers, because you guys get to learn, and you know, it's fulfilling for me to see people's lives changed. And I enjoy making content, it's fun. I enjoy just the challenge of it. So that's probably my favorite business out of all of them, is just the content business and building the brand. So that's, you know, kind of the ins and outs of that. But one thing I'm trying to build right now is my Twitter. So I only got 1,000 followers on Twitter. It's pathetic. So if you guys would do me a big favor, go on Twitter and give me a follow at Ryan Pineda Show. I'm gonna be posting a lot of my crypto and NFT content on there because I guess, you know, that's where the crypto community's at. They like Twitter a lot. So I'm gonna be a lot more active on there as I go down this hole of the world of NFTs. Would you ever run for governor? You know, I just watched Meet Kevin do it, and it looked like a lot of work. The only way I would ever run for governor is if they let me live in Vegas and the work schedule wasn't too crazy. You guys know I'm all about lifestyle, and you know, I don't wanna work crazy hours or weekends or all this stuff. Like, what's the point, you know? The only way that I'd be governor is they'd have to let me live in Vegas, my work schedule couldn't be crazy, and I would have to feel like really called to do it, you know, to create some major change, because, you know, what's the point? Like, if I don't think I can do a better job than somebody, then, you know, I shouldn't do it. So I don't feel called to do it right now, but who knows down the road. How do you know when you're ready to hire your first employee? This is a really good question. Well, in order to hire your first employee, most people think you gotta be bringing in a lot of money, and that's actually not the case. You can get many different employees and roles without paying them any kind of base salary. You know, they can be paid purely on performance and commission. So if you've got a business right now and you're maybe at a point where you think you can produce more revenue if you got an employee, or you can get more things done, then don't think that you got to just like save up a certain amount for that employee. Try to find the right person who's willing to come and help you now and give them a bigger commission, you know? Who knows, the 20 bucks an hour they would have made, maybe offer them a bigger piece of net revenue. And typically, if you get the right person, they're gonna make more money in a commission structure than they would have if they got paid hourly. So if you get the right person who believes in the business and the vision, they know that they'll make more with commission. So for most of my employees, they're all on some type of commission structure because they know they're gonna make more money doing that. How should we divide our time between growing our existing business versus investing? This is really good. I actually struggle with this because as I am looking at investing in crypto and NFTs, it takes a lot of research, and I still have to run all my existing businesses. I still have to create content and do all my day-to-day tasks. So I totally understand this problem for people, and it goes down to with anything. It doesn't have to just be with investing. You know, in business, you're always gonna be looking at short-term task and long-term task. And so with the short-term task, those are things that make you money day to day that you need to survive. So are you gonna go make those cold calls? Are you gonna go prospect? Are you gonna go close deals? Like whatever generates revenue in your business today. But you also have to be focusing on long-term things for your business and for your life. And so, you know, if you go invest in the stock market today, you know, unless you're trying to be a day trader and do it as a career, you know, you're not gonna make money today. Like it's a long-term thing. You're putting your money away and you're just hoping in the long run it's worth it, right? Well, I also tell people this for social media. You know, I say, hey, social media is really important. You should create content. It's gonna make you money. And, you know, they say, well, you know, I made YouTubes for a month and it just wasn't worth the time. I had to put in all this work. You know, I didn't make any money. I didn't get any leads. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's not a get rich quick thing with social media. It's something that is long-term gonna be worth it. And for them, they just don't have the time to devote to long-term. They're just so stuck in the short term, they gotta make money today, and so they can't do it. And for me, you know, thankfully I was taken care of in the short term, and so when I decided to go all in on social media, I was truly all in. I said, you know what? I don't need the short term, like it's good. So I can focus all long term and, you know, just hopefully that's gonna lead to some big things. And it ended up being that, but it was a lot of work. It took a lot of time. And the moral of the story is, you're always playing this balancing act of short term, make money today, focusing on long term other things as well. And even as my life has changed, right? Now, social media is the short term thing for me because this is like what I do day to day that, you know, produces leads for the business, makes me money, you know, all that stuff. So like I have to do the social media. But what happens when I want to focus on new projects that don't currently do anything for me? You know, when I was trying to create The Wealthy Way, which I told you guys about, it's not like The Wealthy Way makes me any money. You know, I don't charge anything for the course or the Discord or anything like that. But it's a long-term vision that I have that if I can build this community of wealth builders, it's gonna lead to something epic. And so I focused a lot of time and a lot of attention on building out that course, creating the vision, the branding, and everything else for The Wealthy Way because I believe in it long-term. And we'll see where it ends up going and what kind of benefits it may have in the future. I don't have an agenda for it. It's just something I wanted to do as a passion project, but it is a long-term type deal that I'm not expecting to profit from, at least initially. So, you know, you gotta always be balancing short-term and long-term, and your long-term may become your short-term if it becomes successful, but you're still gonna have other long-term projects and investments you're focusing on and trying to learn. I would just say, you know, always try to have them in balance. Don't be only long-term focused and then all of a sudden you're broke and you can't pay rent, but don't be only short-term focused where you're just always hunting the next deal, the next sale, because you never have anything else you're building up long-term. So hope that helps. Anyways, hope that helps. Hope you enjoyed this episode of Ask Ryan. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Go check out wealthyway.com. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace.